Hello, guys, welcome back. I'm Ansel, and this time we're talking about a big band because it is the long awaited conclusion of Dan Slott run on Amazing Spider Man. Or at least before the epilogue comes out. Yeah, we are talking about Amazing Spider Man number 800. So, very long issue. 80 pages. This is like four times the size of a normal issue. But I'm gonna go ahead and say it right now. It was epic. It was worth it. Very good 80 pages. So I'm gonna try to go to the main details and what I thought about them. I am gonna start with Peter's um, let's say circles of life. I'm gonna say because I want to talk about his friends, his enemies, and his family because we get to see a little bit. We get to see some aspects of each one of these circles. For some of them, we maybe see a little more, and for others, we maybe see a little less. But we get to see a little for each one, and that I find that very beautiful because I mean we are talking about. I mean, it's not like this is the end of the Spider-Man comics, but it is the end of an era for the Spider-Man comics, and as the end of an era, I find it great that they are touching upon all the aspects in Peter's lives, in Peter's life, and that is why I like that they are touching upon each of these aspects. So I'm gonna go first with the friends. Last issue we saw more of the friends because Peter asked them for help in dealing with the Red Goblin situation, which is Red Goblin plus Carnage, which I still believe is was a great idea, and it really paid off in this epic conclusion, in this epic story. So we see a little from them, and how some of the of old enemies. I'm gonna start talking about the enemies are becoming friends right now, and how some even older enemies that have been friends of Peter's since a few years ago really live up to that label, really act like his friends. um, when it comes to enemies, since the Red Goblin is threatening Peter's life, and this includes a lot of people, some of these people have very strong connections to particular individuals that are enemies of Spider-Man. But since they also have some personal attachments or involvement with some of the Goblin's targets, they also participate in here, and I think the way they did it and the way they appeared, it was very well prepared. I got surprised at many points during the story, and I loved how they also contributed to the whole conclusion to the whole fight against the Red Goblin and his master plan. So yeah, we have Peter being helped by friends. We have Peter being helped by friends that were all enemies, and we have Peter being helped by enemies that are not really friends. And I don't think will be friends anytime soon. But I'm gonna. It's like it all comes together during this situation because it's so extreme, so dangerous for everybody, and that's precisely how the end of an era, of the end of a long story like this one, should actually be. I'm very satisfied with that. It was awesome. When it comes to family, we see some of Peter's family members and how they have a role inside the Goblin's master plan, which basically involves a lot of danger, threats, and pain. And there were many moments where I was on the edge. I'm gonna say the edge of my seat, like if I was watching something, but it is about reading, but a good idea. But I was on the edge of my seat, like worried about them. Like, I mean, in this kind of events, no one is safe. I mean, eventually everybody comes back from the dead, but that doesn't mean that when the death happens, it is not painful, that it doesn't affect you. So I was very worried at many points during the story, especially since there was a time they played with my feelings. It's like, oh my god, they're in danger. Oh my god, they are safe. I'm not gonna give any particular details, but then again, this like, oh my god, they were still in danger. It was very well handled. I think those aspects were particularly well written. Speaking of well written stuff, the dialogue was great. I loved how this style really helps bring out the duality between the goblin and the spider, how they each have their own sense of humor. I loved how since this arc started, we see how the goblin does jokes and makes jokes, and how the spider makes jokes, and how they hate each other's jokes in a way that complements their rivalry, and how they are so much of mortal enemies. So this kept going here, and it was just beautiful. And now that I'm talking about beautiful stuff, the art. Uh, Usually, this kind of art, this art style is not really my favorite, but in here with this particular story and these particular characters and this particular situation, it fit very well. It was a nice fit to the whole ensemble that make this epic finale. Um, so I'm approaching now. I'm trying not to give too much away because I do believe you have to read this for yourself. Jesus Christ, it's hot in here. Um, Jesus, I need a fan. Anyway, so before we get to the conclusion, I'm just gonna say there is a very heartbreaking scene that I was not really expecting. It really caught me by surprise. That's all I'm going to say about it. About what happened, I'm just going to say that I was devastated. I'm usually very emotional. I'm a very emotional person, and it actually made me cry. I was like with tears in my eyes. I was like, why? It was painful to read, but at the same time, it was very. Um, I don't know. It got to me. I'm not gonna say anymore. I don't want to risk spoiling that moment. You have to read this issue. So we have that. We have this emotional stakes. We empathize with Peter and how it affects him, and then we get to the final fight, which I do believe was awesome. I loved how it had some references to things we have seen in the movies, especially the Sam Raimi ones, and they were subtle, but well, maybe not that subtle, but they were great. They were well handled, and it made for a conclusion, a final fight that really, I think I have said this before, but I have to say it again, really brought out this essence of why the goblin and the spider are enemies, and how their ideologies are different, and how deep down the goblin is just a very bad person and a villain, and how Spider is just a great hero, and how he keeps being that lovable and friendly superhero that he has been since the beginning. And we also see how this contrast, this duality, this goblin evil ways actually help Peter become more of the hero that he already is, and this is what makes one of the usual aspects that make a villain great, that it helps the hero become better. As a reference, as a recent reference, I'm gonna mention the movie Black Panther. I do believe Killmonger fulfills this role very well in that movie. He is a villain that actually makes the hero question himself, and consider things in a different manner, that by the end make him a lot better, a better hero than he was at the beginning. So this is what the same thing that happens here. So we got an epilogue here. I'm just gonna say that it shows some possible consequences of this story that might become future storylines, and I think they're going to be fine. Uh, Before I say my final words here, I just want to point out specifically about J. Jonah Jameson. He has developed so much. I'm I've been constantly surprised by this. I wasn't expecting him to have so much character development in so much in so small of a frame, but it was very well done. I loved it. So overall, this was awesome. I mean, who am I kidding? I'm gonna give this 5 spiders out of 5. There's no other way around it. Maybe I'm gonna put an epic hero over here or something because I felt this was truly epic. I mean, this is the kind of a story that, with the proper budget and writing, could become a very awesome adaptation, both in live action form or in animated form. This story is one of those things that I see that in the future being used as a great story to tell to people that are not familiar with the comics, to hook them and make them start reading. So yeah, I freaking loved it. I've already said too much, and I'm just gonna say that one more time. I loved it. So what do you think? Did you love it already? Did you like it? What do you think of this story? I really, what the fuck is Lily? I really liked it, so I'm pretty sure I'm gonna get it in physical form. I've said before, I only buy physical comic books when they really get to me, because I usually buy and read everything on digital. So yeah, they will be on those shelves sometime in the future. I really loved it. So thank you guys for watching. Thank you for listening to me talking this much about a bunch of drawings. And I guess I'll see you next time.